recording. All right. So now we're going to go backwards. So when you convert scientific to standard, you're going to move the decimal the same number of places as the exponent. All right. Here's the important part that I want you to write down. If the exponent is positive, you're going to move the decimal to the right. So you don't have to write down the whole thing, just the part that I underline. If the exponent is positive, you're going to move the decimal to the right in order to make that number larger. And you will fill in zeros as needed. So like if you move it 5 places and there's only 4 numbers, you'll have to fill in a 0. If the exponent is negative, then you're going to move the decimal to the left in order to make the number smaller. So just both parts that are underlined should be in your notes. Those are the most important things right here. Does anybody still need a second? Okay, well, wait a second. Okay. All right. So it says complete the following problems. So convert the number to standard notation. So the word standard notation means standard number. Okay. So 7.83 times 10 to the 7th. So this is the one I'm working on right now. So I know that I'm going to have to take that decimal place and I'm going to have to move it 7 times. And since it's positive 7, I'm going to move it to the right 7 places. And you are going to fill in zeros because obviously there's not 7 numbers here. So I'm going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to have to fill in zeros in all those places that I move that decimal. So once again, this was positive 7 up here for my exponent. And if it's positive, I move it to the right. So I started with the decimal that it was at, and I moved it 7 places to the right. And that gave me this number, and with 5 zeros on it. So this would be 78,300,000. Are there any questions on that one? Okay, I'm going to do number 7, and then I'll let you try the other 2. All right, so convert the number to standard notation, so a big number or small number. And 8.345 times 10 to the negative 6. And if it's negative, I'm going to move the decimal to the left. Okay, so I'm going to take my decimal and I'm going to move it to the left 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to have to fill in zeros. So my final answer is 0.0000008. 0.8345. And you can put a placeholder of 0 out front of that decimal. It's just good math grammar. Are there any questions on that one? All right, you all do these two over here, and then we'll go over them. Okay, so on number 6, 2.5 times 10 to the 4th, that's a positive 4, so I'm going to move to the right. So I'm going to take that decimal and move it to the right 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to fill in the missing zeros. So the answer is 25,000. All right, the next one, convert to standard notation. 3 times 10 to the negative 3. It's negative, so I'm going to move it to the left. Now, where would the decimal be at right now before I start?
Behind the 3.
And behind the 3.
Yeah, behind the 3. Okay, so that's where the understood decimal is. So I'm going to shift that to the left 3 places. So 1, 2, 3. And I'll fill in some missing zeros there. So 0.003, and good math grammar just puts a 0 out front as a placeholder. Are there any questions now about converting it to standard? It's not too bad, right?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's not awful. Okay, I'm going to shift us down here. And this one just says complete the missing blanks in the table. I just want you all to do, okay. I want you all to do this one and this one. So this one wants you to take scientific to standard, and this one wants you to take standard to scientific. So just do the 2 that I starred. Okay, so this 5 is positive, so I'm going to move it to the right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to fill in some zeros there. So that's 4, 2, 5, and then 3 zeros. And that is 425,000. All right, this one down here wants us to take standard to scientific. So I'm going to move the decimal until it only has one number in front of it. And this is a small number, so my exponent's going to be, anybody?
Hold on.
Negative.
Negative is right. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 1.5 times 10 to the negative 3. And you can always kind of back check yourself, like on that one. Like if you put 10 to the negative 3, you know that means left 3. So 1, 2, 3, which is the same number you started with. So you can kind of just back check yourself converting them to each other. Are there any questions on this? Anybody, everybody? Okay, I'm going to switch screens here. There is homework today. And I click move instead of publish. Okay, so your homework, you can open it with Kami. You can use Kami on it. Come on. Come on. Okay, so they give you, it says Calvin practiced converting standard notation to scientific notation by completing the 10 problems in the table shown. Unfortunately, his teacher noticed that Calvin made mistakes on 7 of the 10 problems. Find his mistakes and correct them in the second table below. So you're going to have to go through the table and you're going to have to check. I don't know if I can write on this to make sure that this number 1 matches with what it says under scientific notation. And that number 2 matches with what it says under scientific notation. If they don't match, then you have to write the problem down, like what number it was, what mistake he made, and then what the right answer is. Okay. Are there any questions about the homework? Nobody?